All right, folks, the question on all of our minds, do we have an Oscar contender or an Oscar pretender? Let's talk about it. What is up, Flick fans? Welcome back to my channel. Belfast is Kenneth Branagh's brand new film that just hit theaters. Lots of hype surrounding this one in terms of Oscar, so we're going to discuss it. We talk all things movies on this channel, so if you want to drop this video a thumbs up, subscribe, just leave a comment. All of that means the world to me. Spoiler free in this video, and then at the end of the review, we'll talk a little bit of Oscars, but let's get right into it. And the beautiful thing about this film is it's essentially straight from Branagh's experience. It's all about a 9-year-old boy who must chart a path towards adulthood through a world that has suddenly turned upside down. His stable and loving community and everything he thought he understood about life has changed forever, but joy, laughter, music, and the magic of movies remain. That's something that definitely speaks to us, and you have a great cast. Jamie Dornan, Judi Dench, Caitríona Balfe, Ciarán Hinds, and the one of note here is really Jude Hill, who plays the character of Buddy, and this movie is essentially told from his perspective. And one thing I love about this film is showcasing the outlook of a child like that. It gives you a wide range of possibilities when telling a story that gets this intense and this dramatic at times because of what's actually going down in Belfast. We have this confrontation between two very different groups of people. You have the Catholics and the Protestants, and that is something that's joked about at the beginning of the movie, but as we dive deeper into what this story actually is and what arises between them and how really the military is having to come in and protect the people of the town, and you have looting and rioting and all of this crazy stuff, really things that we can see mirrored for very different reasons in our society today, but this is something that I really had no clue about, right? Like, my wife is a history buff. She knew a bit of this situation, right? So it was cool to kind of learn what actually happened and how it affected the people in that community and the mindset that I think all of us, well, maybe not all of us, but most of us can relate to, and that is home is where the heart is. And as crazy as this situation is getting, their living situation, a mother and her children who have to experience things like this, it's still very difficult for them to even fathom leaving this behind because Belfast is home. And we see our main character, this young boy, go through life and have all of these experiences, and whether it be just a conversation with his grandfather or, I loved everything about this, right? So you see the educational system here, and I'm like, oh man, I mean, this would be a struggle for me because where these children rank in this class, well, that's where they sit, right? So if you're at the top of the class, you're in the front, and if you're not, you're in the back. And for him to sit next to this little girl that he likes, he needs to be higher up because she is at the top of the class. So, you know, a reasonable portion of this film is him trying to do better on his schoolwork to rank better, to have that second seat. And it's such a simplistic and, you can even use the word boring story point, but the way that it plays out and just the sweet nature of this young actor and how he expresses these emotions, not really to his mother, not really to his father, but to his grandparents. I love in a movie when you have a relationship between either two grandparents or one grandparent and a child, and they feel like they can express everything to them, and really vice versa. We get some wonderful interactions, real human-like experiences that just evoke this beautiful emotion that you don't often get. And the movie handles it with such care, and you can tell this is a very personal story for Kenneth Branagh. We'll get into the actual craft here in just a second, but I love those interactions. In terms of his parents, I believe the performance of note here, for me at least, is Caitríona Balfe, who is incredible as Ma. I mean, my goodness, just what she's experiencing, not wanting to let go, not wanting to detach herself from this situation, but seeing everything play out. And then you have Jamie Dornan, who is getting these opportunities to bring in money. There's a little bit of a financial situation they're going through, but they are elsewhere. They are not in Belfast. So there's some decisions that have to be made there. And you can tell this is personal from Kenneth Branagh because of this child's experience with loving movies. And my wife and I were having this discussion after we walked out. It's like, why is the entire movie in black and white? But then you have these scenes where they go to the theater or they watch a film, and so many movie and television show references from that time period, and you have music references as well. Love what they did with the music. Van Morrison, who is a Northern Irish singer from Belfast, which I had no clue he was from Belfast, you get his music all throughout the movie, and a couple of, songs, a bit of a score here and there, but I love the way that played, and all of those played. But anytime they're in a theater in this film, we go from black and white to everything on the screen or everything on the stage being in color, and that's essentially his escape from his reality, and how movies or theater or television shows, they can transport you to another place, and I felt that. I mean, I especially, and you all especially, loving movies like we do, we will feel that while watching this film. So I love the way that was done. And speaking upon the black and white, the color grading, the color correction, I thought it was a beautiful movie to look at. Not the most beautiful black and white I've ever seen, but it looked great. It was crisp. The cinematography, we start out with a shot where the camera is surrounding our young boy. I loved everything about the look of this movie. So it has all of the makings and all of the pieces to build a Best Picture nominated film. Now, would I nominate it for Best Picture at this point? I would say so. I can definitely understand why it would be. Is it my personal Best Picture of the year, though? Probably not on a personal level. I take nothing away from this film. I do believe it is a great movie, but there were just some things about it that I couldn't quite connect to. And then I was also expecting a few things to happen that would have packed that emotional punch that never really played out. And the way that this movie ends, while beautiful, I did expect a few more things from the narrative itself, and a lot of these things are personal. My other big complaint is I do believe the pacing is going to hurt some audience goers, right? Even some of the people we were watching the movie with, I got this movie is a little bit too slow vibes, and I didn't necessarily feel that way. There were a couple of scenes in there that I wish were either trimmed or we would have just went to a different subplot in its entirety. And from that, you could say there are repetitive moments in Belfast. So maybe I just didn't connect to this story as much as I personally wanted to. But you have this love and passion for movies, this young boy at the center whose perspective is so beautiful, this familial relationship, and one major element of this movie that is emotional in itself, but it's a plot point that I saw coming from a mile away. So again, it just didn't hit me. Other than those things, I do believe this is a genuinely great movie for everyone. Fans of period pieces, fans of some nice humor in there. Belfast is so charming, but we are following a family caught in the middle of a violent conflict. Seeing all of this play out through the eyes of Jude Hill's buddy gives it an authenticity that allows it to stand out and feel fresh. It's a beautiful film. My score is an 82%. Again, I do believe this is a beautiful and personal film from Kenneth Branagh. It's easily his best movie in years. In terms of actual Oscar talk, I do see a Best Picture nomination, a couple of technical nominations, maybe production design, and all of those things will combine, along with some actor noms. Jamie Dornan, Caitríona Balfe. I expect a lot. Now, will it get the wins? I think the big question is something like a Licorice Pizza going to, come in and change the game? Or will Dune start to get that momentum? So it's going to be tough, but I will not be upset if it wins a lot of these awards because, again, I do believe it is a great experience for everyone. It just has a wide appeal, and it's such a sweet screenplay. How could you go wrong with it? All right, guys, that's it for me. Appreciate you big time for watching. Stay tuned. I'll be back with more.